Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jeff Rains coming to you again with Foundation of Civilization. Please like and share and subscribe. This is my weekly rundown of the significant events around the world. I'd like to say that it's all of them. Unfortunately, there are so many things going on, and I only have so much time to be able to cover them all. The I came across some data this week from the International Monetary Fund. They are looking at for the world 3.2% growth uh, and but inflation is falling from 6.7% in 2023 to 5.8% they expect for the whole year of 2024, and that they believe is going to go down to 4.3% for 2025. That is, of course, assuming that no other giant crisis occur in that time frame. Uh, Oil across the world, West Texas crude was came in at $70.38. Brent North Sea crude was at $73.87, and OPEC baskets came in at 74.41. All were down about 2%, over 2% over the past month. Gold settled a little after the U.S. election at 2684.64, and that is up 2.47% over the past 30 days. In Europe, the markets came in the week like this. The DAX was down this week slightly at 19,215. The FTSE was down about 1.25 points for the week at 8,072.39. The CAC was down just over 1% at 73.3867. The IBEX was down just over 2.5% at 1151. And Eurostox 50 was down just over 1.5% at 4,802. Deadly floods have hit Valencia, Spain, and approximately 220 people have died, with 80 people still missing. In France, the industry minister, Marc Ferracci, warned of thousands of jobs being threatened. Two of the country's biggest employers, Michelin and Aachen, announced layoffs, and this prompted the industry minister to warn the country that other country companies were going to be threatened as well. In Germany, the coalition government of Olaf Scholz dramatically collapsed. And a departure from the past, Germany has been struggling lately. Previous Prime Minister Angela Merkel remained in power for 16 years. German industry lately has been struggling to keep itself afloat. Last week, I reported several automakers were cutting back shifts and laying off workers. Schultz ended up firing his finance minister, and German attitudes are splitting with the rest of Europe over trade, especially tariffs on imported goods from the U.S. versus China. A new election will happen soon. Schultz wants it to be in January, but often these elections occur much more promptly. In Ukraine, troops have reported to have engaged North Korean troops in the Kursk region of Russia. It's unclear exactly the impact of the conflict, or uh, well, any real details. In Amsterdam, Islamic soccer fans attacked Israeli soccer fans, injuring five. Those five going to the hospital. 62 assailants have been arrested in association with these attacks. It is currently unclear if this was some type of terror attack or if it was just soccer hooliganism between two hostile ethnic groups. Costs for the average family in Europe can remain high. Before the pandemic, a package of chicken breast cost about 13 euros. Now it costs about 18. Fuel costs are continue to drive things higher, so traveling is more expensive, and especially heating homes. Many families are resorting to gathering wood in the forest. However, many forests are privately owned, and if they are government controlled, then you still have to have permission to take anything from them. People are ignoring these laws, and as they get more desperate. In Asia, the markets, Nikkei 225 was up about 3% at 39,500. The SSE was up over 5.25% at 3452, and they were up over the past week. The Hang Seng was up less than 1% at 20,728. The BSE Sensex in India was up over 0.5% at 79,486. And the Nifty 50 was up about 0.3% at 24,148. A suicide bomber killed at least 26 people and injured 62 critically in southwestern Pakistan. A separatist group called the I hope I say this correctly. Balochistan Liberation Army claimed responsibility for the attack in a statement saying the suicide bomber had targeted troops that were at the railway station. The BLA is outlawed and has long waged an insurgency war seeking independence from Islamabad. China is engaged in a number of talks, including solving its disputes with Europe, especially with the election of Donald Trump in the United States. China is in talks with Indonesia to increase their cooperation. And in an effort to diffuse tensions, China has summoned the Philippine ambassador uh, to resolve conflicts that they have been having on the seas. Israel conducted a strike in Tyre on the coast in Lebanon and killing at least 7 people. And in Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu removed his defense minister Gallant. It's rumored that Gallant suggested a more moderate approach to Iran and was at odds with Netanyahu's approach, who had a much more hard line, a desire for a much more hard line approach to Iran, to the conflict with Iran. And in relation to that conflict, Qatar is looking to pull out of the Gaza ceasefire mediation. They don't want to be in the middle of it anymore. In the United States, the biggest news of the week is that on Tuesday, the United States went and conducted another election, and Donald Trump was returned to the White House. Uh, Aside from a few irregularities, most of the voting was fairly peaceful and uneventful. Afterwards, a number of protests erupted, and by Wednesday night, we saw riots in Chicago, Cincinnati, Seattle, some in California. The markets, the two big indexes in the Americas, the Dow Jones was hitting new highs at 43,988, and the S&P ended the week up also with new highs at 5,995.54. Wildfires erupted in Ventura, California, with about 15, and I think it had expanded to 1,600 acres being burned. In Nashville, a domestic terrorist named Skylar Philippi was arrested uh, with uh, with explosives and a bomb, and had the he had planned to attack power generation stations, excuse me, power transfer stations. Interestingly enough, the FBI had been onto him for quite some time. They allowed him to purchase the C4 explosives. He planned, prepare, and almost execute the attack before arresting him. The purchase of the explosives should have been enough for him to have been arrested, but the agency made sure that they were justifying their existence. DOJ officials unsealed an indictment of Iranian affiliated people who were coordinating with Iranian leaders to assassinate Donald Trump. They had made their plans to assassinate him after the election that the Iranians thought he would lose and his Secret Service detail would be reduced, making him an easier target. In North Carolina, a man has been arrested for engaging in random shootings near Raleigh. Although this was likely a mental health issue, he was able to shoot 8 vehicles in different locations. And fortunately, there were, I believe, only one person that was wounded. It has also been confirmed and not widely reported, but after the hurricane hit in Florida, that FEMA workers were advised by leadership to avoid giving government aid to homes with Trump signs. This action highlights the questionable activities of one federal agencies and calls into question their response earlier in North Carolina. It's important to note that none of the federal workers that were given this directive objected to the blatantly illegal activities. And the FEMA workers, many of the FEMA workers, worked to actively cover up this incident. This is something that needs to be addressed with the new administration. We cannot have a political partisanship in times of emergency. I hope that you guys are getting ready and planning and preparing for the challenges ahead. A We were fortunate this week. I didn't catch any infrastructure problems, challenges, aside from the one threat. And I wish you guys all the best this week. And please, again, like, share, and subscribe. And if you really want to support me, I will be posting a link to my to the books that I've written, and love for you guys to get a copy of something, anything, and help me so I can do a little more, a little better work on everything that is going on here and across the world. Thanks again. Much love to everybody, and y'all have a wonderful week.